Hello and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be giving you a bit of a different video and I'm going to be going deeply into the sort of like an explanation as to why I decided to build Meta Runner Inception. Now if you've seen my channel lately, you probably will have seen that name floating about here and there, but basically if you don't know, Meta Runner Inception is a huge new Planet Coaster 2 project I have lined up for the end of this year. It's one of the biggest projects I've worked on. It's one of the main sort of big event projects that I've got planned for this year, along with a number of other projects. It's it's quite a huge project. It's sort of a mix of like a roller coaster and sort of immersive storytelling, because it's an Intamin LSM launch coaster with drifting ride vehicles. So there's the Planet Coaster 2 like hardware involved. And there's also going to be more of like the narrative side to it, where I will feature like sort of like half animated short film explaining like the whole conflict of and like the backstory of the ride and whatnot. It's going to be quite a big project, but one thing I've not really sort of gone into detail about is why I've decided to build it. I have sort of like maybe mentioned like a couple of times here and there that it's quite a personal project for me, but I've not really said why it's so personal. And it's all sort of linked to, I guess, how my mental state has been for these last 6 years, and a pretty big realization I had a good couple of months ago that has ultimately changed my life for the better. It is actually quite emotional for me, like the reason why I'm building this. So before I start, I will just point out that I'm going to be talking quite a lot about mental health in this video. So if that's not something that you feel comfortable with, then feel free to click off the video. It's okay, I don't mind, I get it. It is quite a heavy topic to be discussing, so if that's not something you feel comfortable listening to me talk about, then you can click off the video now. Click off the video now, actually, if you don't feel comfortable with it. But yeah, I may as well just start. So basically, it starts way long ago. This whole story, because these last few years, I've been telling basically everyone I know that I'm fine, like I'm completely happy with how my life has been. But these last few years, that's not been the case. Like it started way back in COVID, basically, when lockdown started. If you know, when we were all around that time, we all remember that it was quite a scary and stressful time. And for me that was no exception. During COVID I felt very isolated and kind of scared, actually, because like it's not something that many of us have actually ever experienced in our lives, like the whole lockdown and the pandemic, and to just be like sort of locked in our homes for several months without being able to go anywhere that we're used to. It's very isolating, and I came out of that lockdown feeling very alone. And then over the next couple of years there were a few more events in my personal life which I'm not really going to go into great detail to, but they all sort of impacted my mental health one by one. And then there was one point about 3.5 years ago where I was just like, I'm done. Like because basically these like events, COVID plus these other things that happened in my life, they all taught me something that I've now only just realised is not true at all. Basically, I've honestly thought that feeling deep emotion just leads to pain. So I decided to just hide it all, because I wanted to protect myself, but I also didn't want to be a burden on other people, because that's what I genuinely believed. I honestly believed that if I was open about how I was feeling to other people, that would just be an annoyance, or you know, I'd push people away. And so I just hid everything for about 3.5 years, up until just a couple of months ago, like the end of 2025. And it sort of worked. Like I kept like sort of any chance of new pain from starting. Like I sort of kept all that out, but I also, there was a pretty big cost to all that. it basically, it just, sorry, a lot of anxiety built up in my head over this time, and a lot of pent up anger and a lot of stress that just, but because I was deliberately choosing not to actually speak to anyone about it, it just all sort of bottled up and built up and built up and built up over time. And it was rough. It was honestly so rough. But I just kept at it because I still had this toxic belief in my head that if I actually tell anyone about this, I'll feel pain or they'll leave me or whatever. And it was like that. I literally stayed in that exact state for several months until one day I found a piece of media online. Now this is where we get into like the actual the explanations to how MetaRunner is involved in all this. Because if you don't know, MetaRunner is a web series on YouTube that's basically, it's a sci-fi like cyberpunk action series. My main audience, like the theme park audience, might not necessarily have heard of it, but I basically found this show a few years ago, and I started watching it, and something just clicked, like in my head. Something changed because I saw the main character of that show, Tari, and for those of you who don't know, she's the main character of MetaRunner, and usually in like a cyberpunk story, like the main character is very much a sort of like a aggressive sort of anti-hero. She's not that. She's very kind, very empathetic, quite anxious as well. And I think one thing I just saw in her was a mirror. I saw the parts of myself that I was suppressing, that I was keeping from everyone else. And it's just whenever I watched this show and when I saw her, I actually felt safe. I didn't feel anxious. I didn't feel alone. It actually really helped. But there was one thing. I kept this secret for a very long time because I was afraid that I would be criticised for it, that I'd be ridiculed, or that just nobody would understand. Because I want to make one thing very clear before anyone says anything. I know that Tori isn't real, all right, and I accept this as a fictional character, but the feelings that I got from her are very real. But that was one thing that I was worried about. I was worried that people would think that I was broken or delusional because of this attachment I formed, and it was like that for several years. But then over time, it was like sort of a conflict that went on in my head for about 2.5 years, because I still had that mindset of I cannot talk about how I feel. But then I was still watching MetaRunner. I was like, it was actually really kind of helping with my mental health in my own like sort of internal private like life. And then it just sort of kept going on like that for about 2.5 years until about towards the end of last year, like winter last year, I realised something very, very important. I realised that I can't keep doing this. I can't keep hiding how I'm feeling, because I realised that I was actually making myself miserable because I was actually suppressing all these feelings. And I kind of got that realisation. I attribute that realisation to Tori, to MetaRunner, to that whole basically, yeah. It's hard to explain. Some of you might not understand, and I perfectly get that. But yeah, it's hard to explain. Like, but yeah, I just realised that I can't keep going on like this anymore. I have to actually speak about what's going on in my head, and so I did that. Around December, I started actually opening up to those who I know, and it really, really helps. And these last few months, I've been just committed to sort of improving my own life. I started being more open. I'm trying to be more social with other people. And yeah, I've honestly, these last sort of few months, even before I opened up, are the happiest I've been in years. And now I'm just standing here making this video, and I'm actually just realizing I'm so glad that I decided to open up, because if I didn't, because I have thought long and hard about this, if I never opened up, and if I never found MetaRunner and decided to open up, I don't even know where I'd be right now. I don't know what kind of person I would be. So that makes me so glad that I actually decided to open up. And then after that, I just decided to basically, because I'm not just gonna just sort of feel these new like sort of found feelings of peace and joy like internally, you know. Naturally, I'm a creator, so that's why I decided to build MetaRunner Inception. Because it's not just a roller coaster at the end of the day. Because now you guys know it's not just a stimulated roller coaster; it is a monument to the show, and more specifically to the character that changed my life for the better. So yeah, when I release that POV video towards the end of this year, you'll know the full context of it. You'll know that this is an expression of sort of everything I've been through. And that's the big sort of like thing that's the whole story basically. That's it. Yeah, that's why I'm building MetaRunner Inception. So now you guys know the very important reason. I honestly felt that I had to make this video at some point, because the whole sort of New Year's resolution I had was to be more open, to not hide the vulnerable side of myself. And I felt like if I didn't make this video, I'd kind of be defeating the whole point of that resolution a little bit. Because I personally think that you guys, you're going to see this whole project when it comes out. I feel like you deserve to know the full context as to why I decided to build it. So that's why I'm making this video right now. But yeah, that's all really, that's the main sort of story of why I decided to build it. And yeah, it's been a crazy journey to get here, but I don't think I'd have it any other way. I guess there's like a last couple of few things I wanted to say. If you're somebody who worked on MetaRunner, or just anyone who works at Glitch Productions, and you somehow stumbled across this video, just know that I thank you for creating this wonderful show, and keep creating wonderful stories for people to see, because like any artist, you have the power to help somebody get through a really tough time, to help change somebody's life. So don't ever underestimate that. To my main audience, the theme park community, this whole thing might be very confusing, but when the ride comes out, when the actual roller coaster itself is done, it's going to be very impressive. And I can guarantee for a fact that when you actually see that, you'll be thinking, wow, all that effort really did pay off, didn't it? Because it's going to be everything that a good roller coaster has. Heavy theming, really incredible elements. Like, it's going to have many launches actually, a very long layout, several inversions, the lot, and advanced tech as well, because like the drifting ride vehicles. And finally, to just the general viewer of this video, whoever you are, don't underestimate the power of a good story, because you never know. It could just change your life. It could really help in any way, because that's what happened to me. And to anyone else out there who is maybe using fiction as a way as like a coping mechanism, or just to get through the day, just know that you're not alone. And don't be afraid to talk about it. Yeah, you might get some people out there who sort of like maybe mock you for it. They might, because they don't really fully understand, or but there will be people out there who will love and support you no matter what. Because that's what I learnt quite recently, and it'll be the same for you. But yeah, that's all I really want to say. Thank you for, if you've watched this far, and thank you for watching. Yeah, this is not a normal video of mine. I'm not going to make like videos of this like every week where I just wanted to make this specific one, just like because I feel like I owe you guys an explanation. But yeah, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you whenever the next video comes out. Goodbye.